Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Net Report podcast. Today we're going to be going over what an exciting, and I do mean underscore, capitalize, exclamation point, exciting NBA conference finals we had in both the East and Western Conference. Chris, please tell me, which
Just
has been
straight
your
capping.
favorite part of the conference finals?
The Timberwolves won a
Please
game.
indulge.
That's very exciting. But no, this conference finals has been pretty disappointing. I mean, obviously the title of the video will tell you that right away, but Boston Celtics win 4-0 sweep, and it's looking like the Mavericks are gonna advance. They're up 3-1 right now. Timberwolves just stole a game, but we've never seen a team come back 3-0. We all know what's happening. It's more than likely going to be a Boston Dallas finals, and it's really the opposite of what we expected, to be honest.
I'm happy.
Of course you are, Mr. Celtics fan
I'm
over
not
here.
disappointed. I'm very happy right now. But hey, all records have to be broken at some point, so you never know.
Yeah, I won't write them completely off, but
they'd be the most on-brand team to break the 3-0 curse, by the way. Just saying.
Come on.
It'd be the most on-brand that they're not going to. Because for whatever reason, we can go into it now, kind of analysis-wise, but for whatever reason, I guess I haven't watched enough Timberwolves basketball this entire season, but they foul to a stupid degree.
Mm-hmm. Like it was bad this game too.
It seems like specifically this game, but like every game this series, it's felt like by halftime, it's like between Cat, Ant, and Gobert, one, if not all three of them, are in foul trouble. Cat legit got benched in game 3 because he had 5 fouls and Nasri was outplaying him. Nasri outplayed him again this game for most of it until he started snapping on threes at the end of the game. But then Cat still fouled out with like 3 or 4 minutes to go. And it was only like a 5-point game. Like and these are dumb fouls we're talking about, like over the back reach fouls and just offensive push off fouls. Like these are stupid things.
He's always been liable for fouls too. It's nothing new, unfortunately, just being more heightened on a playoff stage. But going back to the original point, Timberwolves just haven't really been able to get it done against this Mavericks team. It's been a lot more disappointing than we honestly predicted. I know you had Mavs in 6. I had Timberwolves in 7. That just looks worse and worse after every day, but it's been really surprising. I mean, we were talking and texting about it throughout the game. The amount of times I've seen Rudy Gobert attacked on a pick and roll, like just in drop coverage, has been ridiculous this series, and it feels like the way I play on 2K. It's funny to think about, but they're just straight abusing him. And, whether it's Luka making the right read or, scoring himself, it's just been killing this Timberwolves team. Like, I don't know if I've seen Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. Obviously, Lively didn't play this game, but just throughout the series look so effective because they're getting those wide open shots on the pick and roll, and it's been insane this series.
Part of it is the wide open shots in the pick and roll. I'll grant you that. The other part of that is Luka's just one of the better. I would say him and Trae Young are two of the best lob throwing guards.
100%.
Luka just throws perfect lobs. Like it's kind of just a thing. But Gafford still, like I am aware of Daniel Gafford. I'm aware of his time in Washington. I've always liked Daniel Gafford. I thought he was a decently effective big man. I was shocked that the Mavs ended up getting both him and PJ Washington at the trade deadline. And in our video, I will continue to repeat this. We praised those moves. Like, I was in love with those moves. I didn't realize that Gafford would then just start becoming their starting center, but he's been awesome for the season with them, and he's been awesome this series. Just awesome. Like,
incredible rim protector. I didn't think he had that rim protection.
He had multiple nasty dunks in this game, too.
And all of it is Luka setting them up, and, that all goes back to attacking Gobert on that drop, and it's been ugly, man. It's been ugly, but when you got a generational playmaker like Luka, he's going to make these guys look better, and it's not just the big men. I mean, obviously we're seeing guys like PJ Washington have great series, not too much this game, but like previous games. Even like guys
Derek
like
Jones Jr.
Even guys like Jaden Hardy were cooking today. I know that's more to do with, like, I know he's more of like a scoring type of guy. It's not really Luka setting him up, but like we've been seeing everyone wake up for the Mavericks, and it's just been crazy to see. Timberwolves kind of the opposite, struggling on offense. Sometimes they can't buy a bucket, other times they're in foul trouble, and just the clutch execution throughout these games has been, I don't want to say non-existent, but it has not been up to the Mavericks level, and that's really been the story of this series. They've been close-ish games for the most part, but the Mavericks just out-execute them. Timberwolves were able to get one today, out-execute them in the stretch, but I don't see that happening 3 more times in a row. I mean, that would defy all NBA logic, and I'm not going to go against NBA logic. No team has ever come back from 0-3. We're likely staring at a Celtics Timberwolves final, or Celtics Mavericks finals.
Yeah, I mean, I will give this week, we're going to call it disappointing, and it has been from wins and losses standpoint. The Celtics Pacers, all 4 games, Celtics obviously swept the Pacers. All 4 games were very competitive. Hats off to the Indiana Pacers and Rick Carlisle on that team. They didn't have Halliburton for 2.5 games for the most part. 2.25, I don't really know how you want to call it, but they made the Celtics work for it, and it really came down to the Pacers just weren't, I don't know if you want to say talented enough or seasoned enough to kind of close out these end of games. It just came out to they just sloppy turnovers. They didn't make the big shots the Celtics did. On the flip side, we've seen 4 very competitive games with the Timberwolves and Mavericks. Like, every single one of these has come down to fourth quarter execution. And outside of this game 4 where the Timberwolves finally won, the Mavericks were just the ones that were out executing and out shooting. The reality of it is the Timberwolves just have shot horribly, and they don't have the greatest offense. You and I have talked off air about how, like, you were kind of surprised because these small market teams kind of get brushed aside a little bit when they don't get this national media attention. But when you're watching a 7-game series of them, you notice these things. Their defense is amazing, but I had mentioned it before the series had started. Like, I wasn't sure how well their offense was going to perform in a 7-game series against another offense that is so kind of like fast-paced and dynamic. And we've seen the offensive foul. We've seen the silly turnovers. We've seen kind of some of their shooters, per se, disappear. Nickeil Alexander-Walker shot great game 4. Had not shot great in games 1 through 3. Cat shot great in game 4 from 3. Horrible. Monstrously horrible in games 1 through 3. Also, Cat shouldn't be shooting all these volume 3s. Get in the damn paint and make them work for it. They don't have Derek Lively. They have Daniel Gafford and not much else for size. Maxi Kleba isn't exactly someone I'd say who's the best rim protector. So the fact that Cat and Gobert are kind of struggling to kind of do anything in inside the arc, and are having to, not really Gobert as much, but Cat keeps shooting these 3s. It worked in this game where he finally started hitting them, but it's just mind-boggling to me that that they're not abusing what their size has gifted them. Also, I didn't see this much happen in the second half, but the first half of game 4, I'm going to be very honest, Luka's not a good defender. I know we all know this. Why they're not targeting Luka on offense when he's out there on defense is mind-numbingly crazy.
I will say
letting
this:
him float out
he's been improved. This, to his credit, he has been improved this postseason.
Doesn't mean good. Improved doesn't even mean competent. He's not good, but they're also like
the effort's there though.
You should always attack the weakest defender, and they're just letting him float. Like Nickeil Alexander-Walker or someone, or Kyle Anderson will be at the top of, or in one of the corner pocket 3s. Luka's just kind of like roaming off of him a little bit, just waiting for someone to drive into the paint so they can help. Why we're not attacking him is just crazy to me. Like, you're just letting him play free safety.
And I think a lot of it, and we've seen it with the Pacers, we've seen it with the Timberwolves too. It's just these young teams aren't executing like when it comes to like you said, towards the clutch time and just adjustments, man. Like, we see Celtics have been here before. They're making the adjustments. Mavericks, they missed the playoffs last year, but they've been in the conference finals before. Luka and some of these other players have at least been in the playoffs before. I know it's a very new revamped team, but even still.
Kyrie's won a ring, for God's sake.
Exactly. Kyrie's won a ring. So you're seeing the experience play out, and you mentioned that on our predictions, and I kind of brushed it to the side just because part of it is because, like, the Mavericks, they're a newer team, like, in the sense of a lot of it was constructed at the trade deadline, but it's really proving so important, especially in these late game situations, and can't be overstated how important that is to teams executing in the clutch.
Yeah, it really has come down to the clutch for both teams, and I'm not really surprised that the Pacers didn't execute the clutch. Like, that wasn't really a shocker. And I will give Rick Carlisle all the credit in the world. He got his team worked up. He made the adjustments he could.
But they're punching above their weight class.
Yeah, 2 classes above their weight class. I'm not even going to be blunt about it. But I say that to then counterpoint with, I've been extremely disappointed with Chris Finch's coaching job in these conference finals. Like, I talk about these things, it's like Luka's just roaming off there. These guys are getting into foul trouble constantly. Like, you as the coach need to, like, maintain that. Like, Cat had 4 fouls in midway through the third, I think it was. After he caught his 4th, Chris Finch just left him out there kind of rolling the dice. They targeted him because, of course, they're going to target him. And crazy enough, it was Cat who got the offensive foul to get his 5th foul. And then Luka with the gigantic IQ play, because now Chris Finch has to play ring around the rosy with timeouts to Cat in and out of the game. Luka just kind of did the silly old James Harden, Steph Curry thing where he pump faked the 3, defender jumps at you, you jump into the defender, and bye-bye Cat. And that was after he made 3 consecutive 3s. Mavs ended up still losing the game. Timberwolves took it. It wasn't a big deal in the end, but those are the things where I'm like, it was this close to, I don't know, like, it could have come down to the Wolves being swept. Like, these games are that close, and it's not going to matter at the end of the day because the Mavericks are going to win this series. Like, I will bet my life savings on that. We're not seeing a 3-0 deficit be
we're not seeing that. Yeah, we're not seeing history be made.
It's not getting blown. Like, this Timberwolves team is not that. When that happens, it'll be because a team just was underperforming. Like last season, Celtics were underperforming for 3 games, and a team that should be beating them was beating them, and then they kind of giddied up, and they were Tatum not. Excuse my language. They were Tatum not twisting his ankle 18 seconds into the game from possibly making history. But they didn't make history, and I don't think we're going to see it this year either. But congratulations to my Celtics. I also want to, again, tip my hat off to the Indiana Pacers. They shouldn't have been in the conference finals, but they made it, and that's excellent for those guys. I'm really excited to see them continue on. Andrew Nembhard, Obi Toppin, all those guys, just phenomenal performances. Absolutely phenomenal performance. TJ McConnell, like, shout out to TJ McConnell. Like, just what a nice, he's just like a nice little role player out there. Like, I just was really impressed overall with how well the Pacers played, and just good for them. I'm happy to see it. Kind of like, they don't have their star for kind of over half the conference finals. They make it work.
And one thing I do want to bring up before we do wrap this up, shout out to the Celtics also. I know they're not getting a lot of love because, they've had that quote-unquote Mickey Mouse path, but these games, the Pacers were pushing above their weight class. They were hitting shots at an insane rate. Nembhard looked incredible, but they found a way to close out the games, and that is important, especially when you're probably going to be going up against a Dallas team who has been really great in clutch execution. You're going to have to out-execute them, and Boston's, at least we're seeing that now. I mean, ideally, yes, you want to see them blowing out a team that probably shouldn't be competing with them, but also I think part of it is, I don't think it's as much Boston playing down to their competition as much as it's more the Pacers playing up and hitting a crazy amount of shots, but they're executing, and that's what's important, because this is a Boston team we've seen really struggle in the clutch before, and that's important going into the finals. That's going to be so key against this Mavericks team that has the two best closers, honestly, probably in the NBA. I don't even think that's an exaggeration. Like, the two best and two most clutch players in the NBA. It's a conversation to at least be had. I see you're not liking that statement, but it's at least a conversation.
I'm struggling with it. I still... Curry's up there, bro.
He is, but I feel like I've seen too many moments where it just hasn't been able. I feel like he just doesn't get the ball in his hands a lot in clutch situations too. Like, part of it's his gravity, part of it is they're always playing off, like, they're always denying him the ball. But Kyrie, we've seen just incredible closer, and then Luka, we've seen him give the work. Like, I feel like I've seen him hit 1,000 shots over the Clippers in the playoffs alone, like, to just absolutely bury series over the past 3 years.
Probably make a compilation. It'd be over an hour. No cap.
So,
I just want to touch on one thing you mentioned about the Celtics and how you're right. In previous years, a lot of the flack they got for why they underperformed was playing down to their competition and lack of effort. Like, in games where they really should have been energized. That was neither of those things in this series. I think it was a little bit of that in the Heat series, playing down to their competition, and even a little bit of that in the Cavs series, a little bit. It's gotten better. But in the Pacers series, more so what it was is they were just kind of like, the Pacers have one of the best offenses in NBA history. Like, I don't think people actually grasp that. This Pacers team has one of the best offenses. They were the second best offense in all of basketball this year. So, like, yeah, you're gonna have to defend against a really good offense. The other thing is the Celtics shot, I want to say, 33% as a team from three the entire series, which is one of the worst marks in conference finals history. And this is for a team that shot amazing from three all year, at least at a high volume as well. So there's going to be some disparity there. But they had to play 4 close games. 3 were they had to win in the clutch. One of them with an insane shot by Jaylen Brown to get it to overtime. I agree. Their path hasn't been great as far as being challenged. What I will give them is they're not cocky about this. This Celtics team is hungry. They know and respect the people that they have played getting this far. And at the end of the day, it's 4 wins. You're 4 wins from an NBA championship. Like, I think that after that finals loss to the Warriors, what is it, 3 years now?
2 years ago.
2 years ago now? Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. 2 years ago now, it feels like a decade ago. Oh my god, we were up 2-1.
Hey man, that's how it goes with Curry-led teams, man.
I know. I'm gonna forever be bitter about
You can
that.
you can rectify it this year.
Andrew Wiggins! And then he died! He fell off the deep end!
He really did fall off, but that's kind of been...
He won his team an NBA championship and then decided he didn't know how to play basketball anymore.
Crazy.
I'm mad now.
Alright,
Close this out for us, Chris. Close this out for us.
Yeah, but that's our takes on the conference finals. You know, we found it a little disappointing, but we're looking forward to a great NBA finals going forward. Mavericks versus Celtics, more than likely. Hopefully we're not jinxing it, but come on, let's be real here. As always, thank you for tuning in and watching. My name is Chris. I'm here with my co-host Jacob. If you enjoy this type of NBA content, hit that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel out a ton, and it'll keep you up to date with all our content. So hit that like button. Help us against the YouTube gods. It'll mean a lot to me.
It sure will mean a lot to him, and I look forward to Chris hating the fact that he put out this video when the Timberwolves come back from...
Yeah, exactly. 100%. This will be viewed by someone in 5 days, and they'll be like, ha, Timberwolves won.
Old takes
really.
Exposed. Come
Old
at
takes
us.
exposed, yes.
Go Celtics.
As always, thank you for watching. Take care.